Hi, Minesh Baxi here. Thanks for watching. And most of you already know that I have a book published called Stop Hiring Losers. Maybe you heard of the book, maybe you have read the book, or maybe you have no idea what the book is about. But if you're an employer, you're a manager, you are somebody who hires people, maybe you had this challenge before. You thought the person that you hired was a winner. You thought the person who was hired was going to bring ease for you. They will do the job the way they are expected to. Unfortunately, it's not always that it works out that way. And having coached different business owners, employers for over now almost 18 years and 19 years, that I have seen enough of the business owners face these challenges. Now, let me explain what typically happens. Most business owners, especially the ones who are relatively small business owners, maybe they're hiring the first person, or maybe they don't really have a system down very well. They just grab the first person that they come to and they start thinking that this person can do the job. And then a few days, a few weeks, a few months later, they realize that the person they hired wasn't the best person. And this happens so often, unfortunately, a lot of business owners don't realize, a lot of employers don't realize that there has to be a better way. So what I'm going to talk about today are the 10 expensive mistakes in hiring. Now, these are not all the mistakes in hiring, and I'm sure you understand that, but these are 10 that I have come across a lot of people do, and if you can avoid these mistakes, it'll be a lot better. So before I start, let me explain that hiring badly is a problem which can be in your bottom line. So let's say you hire somebody that you thought is good for the job, and unfortunately that person doesn't turn out to be the right person. Now, they could cause you a lot of grief in different ways. Number one is money. It took you time, money in order to hire the person, and time is money, so you spent a lot of money. You paid the person and didn't get the job done. That's another cost that you have. Maybe that person did not do a good job with a client or the job that was supposed to be done, which cost you money as well. Maybe they were a bad representation for your business. In all these cases, that's a problem. Maybe they don't know how to get along with other people. And what ends up happening is there are so many repercussions. And there are different estimates for different jobs. It's going to be different numbers. But in general, it costs anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 for at least one person at the lower end. And it could cost you up to hundreds of thousands of dollars at a higher end of hiring the people. Are you willing to make those mistakes? Well, I hope not. Are you willing to learn and make a better decision the next time? Absolutely. So my short list here hopefully can help you not make the mistakes that we are talking about. So here is, and by the way, before I end the program, I will give you an opportunity to get an assessment that you can contact me. And if you're an employer, I would love to review an assessment with you, which makes the job of hiring easier. So let's go through the list. I have the list right in front of me. The first one is, I need a body right now. Suddenly the business has grown. You have a lot of people asking for your company's product, service, etc. you provide, and you realize that you can't do it all. You need to do a lot more stuff, and hence you are desperate in hiring. And that's the first one. I need a body right now, which means anybody is a good person. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't work out very well if the person isn't a good fit. The second one is hiring close family, friends, or referrals without any evaluation. Just because somebody has a brother, sister, sibling, father, mother, or a close friend, and you're like, hey, that would be perfect for my job. They're loyal to me. They're good people. But unfortunately, it's a problem. I'll give you one example. One of my clients called me up and said, Minesh, I would like you to assess my brother who I want to bring on the team. And unfortunately, based on the assessment, he was not a good fit. His track record wasn't good either. And I told him, you are going to hire a person that's going to be a problem on your team. It could hurt the morale of the other people. So better not hire. He did understand my suggestion. He did not end up hiring that person. Okay. Then the next one is no process to screen candidates. So as soon as you get a resume, somebody is interested, guess what happens? Okay, we will hire this person. Now, if you don't have a process to screen candidates, you're not going to be able to find what are the strengths and weaknesses of each candidate. Do these strengths and weaknesses align with the job that you have in mind? And having a process is important. Some people, all they think is interviewing somebody, asking some questions. Now let me ask you, what you do in an interview, does it really reflect what the person can do? The answer is no. I'll give you one example. One of my friends, very successful, this was in the beginning stages of his company. He hired somebody in computer systems and work in that area. He hired this person, had a degree and all that kind of stuff. But the first day when the person came into work, one colleague, one previous employee already, somebody who has been working there, came to the boss, my friend, and said, hey, let's use the name John. John doesn't really know what he's doing. I don't think he knows what a mouse is, and he's a computer person. My friend was thinking that they were just joking about it or doing some hazing ceremony or whatever. Finally, he took it seriously enough to go to this person, John, and started observing how much this person actually knew, though the person had some computer degree. In a few minutes, he figured out this person was not going to be able to do the job, and he fired the person on the spot. Now, had he done a lot better job of screening the candidate, he would have found out early enough that the person did not have the skills required. So are you really having a process in place to screen candidates? Then, hiring the candidate just like you. Now, this is very common. When people interview, they think if they get along really well with the candidate, it means that's a good fit. Now, most employers quite often are a certain profile of extroverted. Quite a few salespeople, they are people who like to talk. And then they get along in a good conversation with this person. They're laughing, chatting, and they think, oh, this is a good fit. I have good rapport with this person. It will work out really well. Unfortunately, the job may not demand that. Just because you get along with that person doesn't mean they can do the job that is required. In fact, some of the times you're looking for a person who is opposite to your style. So pay attention. If you get along very well in the interview, may not be the candidate you're looking for. Okay. The next one is you hate to do the work that you should be doing. And guess what? You're looking for somebody else to do the work. And then you end up hiring somebody just because you don't want to do the work. You don't want to supervise the person. You don't want to teach the person. And you just assume they can do the job. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out very well, because if you don't like to do something, the other person may not be the person for that job that you don't like to do. You have to make sure you have a plan in place. You have the job description in place. You hire the person based on the strengths and weaknesses and align them with the job description. So for example, you are somebody who likes selling, but you don't like the detailed work. You don't like the payroll and all the other stuff. It's like, okay, I don't like to do it. Let me just give it to somebody else. Well, you have to think twice before you give it to somebody else, because they don't share the responsibility that you have. They don't have the same sense of commitment to the job, and what you are willing to do, they may not be willing to do. So just hiring somebody without clarity on that would not be a good thing for you. The other part, which I think is very common, is no clear vision of the company or team and where the employee fits in. So let me give you a quick idea about it. There are three things that you should be aware of if you're an employer. The first is everybody has his or her own vision. Number one. Number two, based on what they understand about the business, the organization, that person has a perception about the vision of the organization. And the third is they see themselves having a certain role in that vision. So until those three are aligned in the way that you need for your business, they're not going to perform to the degree that you really need them to perform. So just remember that part of it. No onboarding process. This is quite common. Okay, hey, I've hired the person. Let me just give them a lot of things to do. They dump instead of delegating. And that can be a challenge, because what ends up happening is the new person needs a lot more clarity. They need to be aware of the systems, the processes, how things are going to be done. And if you feel that they will just learn automatically, I think you are making a mistake, because anybody doesn't understand your personal way of looking at things and your expectations. Until those expectations are given out clearly, until the systems and processes are taught to the person and the expectations are in detail, quite often in writing, you're going to have a challenge, because you think they can do the job just without any instructions. So you will under-instruct and over-delegate, which is not a good thing for you. Make sure you have the process in place as well. The other one is no evaluation process to see if the employee fits into the role. So as soon as you've hired the person, you should look into saying, okay, am I evaluating that person? In fact, if it is a new person, you have relatively a small business, you might want to meet with this person every single day for a few minutes to make sure they understand their role and they're performing according to your expectations. And if they don't know the role, if they don't know how much progress they're making, you will have a challenge. You'll assume. I know this, I've seen this happen. The person is hired, they're given, hey, handle this part, and a week later or a month later, the boss is surprised that things are not getting done. Well, we should be looking at it daily if that's a new person and we have relatively a smaller organization. Other part is not evaluating skills when hiring. I think I gave that example already. Is not only should you interview the person, you should also ask questions and put them through some skill testing. Depending on the job, like I have a client that I used to work with for a while, and he's in the computer business. So he would not bother interviewing a candidate until that candidate went through a series of computer related problems to be solved, because if the person cannot solve computer problems, networking and so on and so forth, obviously having an interview makes no sense. If they can't do it, like for example, if somebody has to make a cold call and they are afraid of picking up the phone and dialing, well, that's not going to be a good person either. Make sure the person has the skills that they need before they take on the job, right? The last one is sell the candidate on the job instead of having the candidate sell you on themselves. So let me give you an example of what that happens. The candidate walks in, the company owner, the salesperson, usually quite often sales manager, might be hiring somebody, and they are so excited about their company, they're excited about the vision, and during the interview, all they are doing is talking. All they are doing is explaining the role. All they are doing is giving the big picture of what the person will do. And guess what? They have been trying to sell the person on the job why that person should work in that company, in that organization, in that department. The reality is, as the owner, employer, your job is to find out if the candidate can sell you on themselves for the job. And you are looking to ask questions. You are looking to find out more why this person is a good fit for that. So I hope you have understood these 10 simple hiring mistakes, which can be very expensive, that unfortunately happen to a lot of people. And as you know, I wrote the book Stop Hiring Losers with my wife, Kim Baxi. She has a background as she had a degree in corporate human resources. And what we put together is a simple step-by-step approach that any employer, even if they're starting to hire the first person, or if they have been having a revolving door, they're frustrated, they have people coming into the company but not being productive, and they're spending more time babysitting instead of actually getting the work done, then this book is a great, easy thing to read for yourself. If you like, you can download the book at stophiringlosers.com. And by the way, my number is 248-866-0063. So please feel free to let me know. My email is minesh@mbaxi.com, and I can send the book to you as well. And if you're an employer, you're an owner of 5 at least employees, I would love to give you a free assessment that you can use for your own benefit that will teach about your strengths and weaknesses, so you're more aware of who the next person you should be hiring. And I will tell you what, I've been doing this for 18, 19 years. I do thousands and thousands of these every year, and it makes the job of the candidate easier to show the strengths and weaknesses. It makes the job of the employer easy to understand what this person can bring to the table. And I can tell you one story before we wrap up here. There was one real estate agent. He called me up and he said, Minesh, I was looking for your phone number. I didn't have the right number. Finally, I found you. The reason I wanted to call you is because I have a referral for you. I said, great. Well, thank you very much. He said, I don't know if you remember me. I said, I certainly remember you. He said, you remember that you helped me hire this particular person on my team? I said, I remember the story very well. He said, Minesh, 7 years later, this person is still with me. And I was so happy to hear that, because if he doesn't have to spend time chasing candidates, if he doesn't have to spend time having this revolving door taking away his energy, he's able to be more productive in his business. He's able to get more results in his business. And that's what I'm here for, helping people achieve the level they need. Thanks again for watching. This is Minesh Baxi, 248-866-0063. And if you are interested in sharing your knowledge and information, please feel free to call me for this show as well.